The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the darkness between stars. It was bigger than most cities on Earth. Ships from dozens of different worlds docked at its ports every day. But today was special. Today, the greatest fighters from across the galaxy had come here for one reason. The Galactic Combat Championship was about to begin. Lee Hanna stood at the observation deck looking out at the stars. She was 23 years old and looked like any normal human woman you might see walking down a street in Seoul. Her black hair was tied back in a simple ponytail. She wore the standard gray uniform that all Earth fighters had been given. Nothing about her seemed special or dangerous. Other humans walked past her in the corridor. They looked much more impressive. Park Jin-woo had muscles that bulged under his uniform. His arms were covered in scars from years of fighting. He had won every tournament on Earth for the past 5 years. Everyone expected him to be their champion here too. Behind Hanna, a group of alien delegates walked by. They were tall creatures with blue skin and 4 arms. Their leader pointed at the human section and spoke in his own language. Then he switched to the common galactic tongue so everyone could understand. "Look at what the humans have brought. That small female there. Does she even know how to fight?" His companions laughed. The sound was harsh and echoing in the metal corridors. Other aliens turned to look. Soon a small crowd had gathered to stare at Hanna. A massive creature covered in gray rock-like skin stepped forward. He was nearly 3 meters tall and his arms were thicker than tree trunks. This was Thorak of the Gorvani people. He was famous across the galaxy for crushing opponents with his bare hands. "Is this some kind of joke?" Thorak's voice rumbled like distant thunder. "The humans send children to fight warriors?" More laughter came from the alien crowd. Hanna could hear every word, but she did not turn around. She kept looking out at the stars as if nothing was happening. Commander Kang Do-yeon appeared beside her. He was the leader of the human delegation. His face was red with anger, but he kept his voice calm and professional. "All our fighters meet the tournament requirements," he said to the aliens. "Size and appearance mean nothing in real combat." A creature with silver skin and blade-like arms growing from its wrists stepped forward. This was one of the Volari. They were known as the fastest fighters in the galaxy. "Your small female will be torn apart in seconds," the Volari said. "We have studied human combat footage. Your species relies on crude weapons and group tactics. In single combat you are weak." Commander Kang felt doubt creeping into his mind. He had chosen Hanna for the team based on her test scores and training results. But looking at her now next to these alien monsters, he wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. Yoon Mirai walked up to join them. She was the communications officer for the human team, and Hanna's only real friend on the station. She was getting angry at what she was hearing. "You should not judge someone before you see them fight," Mirai said firmly. The aliens found this even more amusing. Their laughter grew louder. More aliens came to see what was happening. Soon there were dozens of different species all staring at the humans and talking among themselves. Hanna finally turned around. Her expression was calm and peaceful. She looked at each alien face without any fear or anger. When she spoke, her voice was quiet but clear. "When does the tournament begin?" she asked Commander Kang. "Tomorrow morning," he replied. "The opening ceremony is in 2 hours." Hanna nodded and walked away toward the human quarters. The aliens watched her go with expressions of disbelief and amusement. "She moves like she's going to a tea party, not a death match," one of them said. Thorak crossed his massive arms over his chest. "I hope I get to fight her first." "It will be over quickly." The alien crowd slowly broke up, but the talking continued. Word spread quickly through the station that the humans had brought a weak female fighter. Bets were being placed on how fast she would lose. Some aliens were betting she would surrender before the first punch was thrown. In the human quarters, Commander Kang called a meeting with his team. Besides Hanna, there were 5 other fighters, including Park Jin-woo. They sat around a metal table in their small conference room. "I want everyone to know what we are up against," Kang began. "Each alien species here represents the peak of their military might. They have sent their absolute best warriors." He activated a holographic display showing images of their opponents. The Gorvani with their stone-like skin and incredible strength. The Volari with their natural blade weapons and lightning speed. The Nethri with their psychic powers that could crush minds. "They think we are weak," Kang continued. "They think humans are not real fighters. We are going to prove them wrong." Park Jin-woo leaned forward. "What is our strategy? Do we focus on teamwork? Our adaptability? Each fight is individual combat," Kang explained. No weapons except what nature gave you. No outside help. It is just one fighter against another until someone cannot continue. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. Fighting alone against these alien champions would be incredibly difficult. Hana spoke up from her corner of the room. What are the arena conditions? Zero gravity, Kang replied. Various obstacles and hazards that change between matches. The fighting space is a sphere about 50 meters across. Jinwoo looked worried. Zero gravity will help smaller fighters, but these aliens have been training in space for generations. We have only had a few weeks to prepare. We do our best, Kang said simply. That is all anyone can ask. After the meeting ended, the fighters went to their individual rooms. Hana sat on her small bed and closed her eyes. She was not meditating or praying. She was simply thinking about the fights to come. Tomorrow she would step into the arena against creatures that could tear her apart with their bare hands, beings that moved faster than human eyes could track, warriors with mental powers that could stop her heart from beating. Everyone expected her to lose quickly and badly. Even her own team members had doubts about her chances. Only Mirai seemed to believe in her, and even she could not explain why. Hana opened her eyes and looked at her reflection in the small mirror on the wall. She saw an ordinary human woman with no special powers or weapons. But she was not worried about tomorrow. She had been preparing for this fight her entire life, she just did not know it yet. The opening ceremony of the Galactic Combat Championship filled the main arena with thousands of spectators. Representatives from 47 different worlds had come to watch their champions fight. The arena itself was a massive transparent sphere that could be seen from every seat in the stadium. Bai Seokjin stood with the Gorvani delegation in their viewing box. He was their ambassador to the Galactic Council, and he was not impressed with what he saw from the human section. The Earth fighters looked small and weak compared to the other species. Look at them, he said to his companions. They brought that tiny female and expect her to fight our warriors. It is almost insulting. In the technical section, Kim Hunwoo monitored the arena systems. He was responsible for making sure all the equipment worked properly during the matches. The arena could create different environments for each fight. Gravity could be adjusted. Obstacles could appear and disappear. Weather effects could be added. The humans requested standard Earth gravity for their training sessions, he reported to the tournament officials. Most other species want double or triple gravity. The tournament director was a tall alien with green skin and 6 eyes. He looked at the request with surprise. Standard Earth gravity is very low, he said. Are they trying to get an advantage? I do not think so, Kim replied. Their bodies are adapted to low-gravity worlds. They probably need it just to function normally. Down in the fighter preparation areas, each species had their own training rooms. The sounds coming from most rooms were violent and loud. Crashes and roars echoed through the corridors as alien champions practiced their combat techniques. The human training room was surprisingly quiet. Park Jinwoo worked alone with punching bags and practice dummies. His movements were smooth and controlled, but not particularly loud or dramatic. Hana sat in the corner of the room doing stretching exercises. Her routine looked more like dance than combat training. She moved slowly and gracefully through positions that seemed more suited for meditation than fighting. You should practice with the heavy equipment, Jinwoo told her. These aliens are not going to be gentle. I am practicing, Hana replied calmly. Jinwoo did not understand what she meant, but he did not push the issue. Everyone had their own way of preparing for battle. Choi Na-young was in the observation deck studying video footage of alien fighters. She was a military analyst assigned to help the human team understand their opponents. What she was seeing made her very worried. The Gorvani fighter Thorak had destroyed every opponent he ever faced. His stone-like skin could stop most weapons. His strength was incredible even by galactic standards. In one video, she watched him punch through a steel wall that was half a meter thick. The Valari champion was named Zix. His blade arms could cut through almost any material. He moved so fast that normal cameras could barely track him. In his fights, he would appear behind opponents before they even knew he had moved. The worst was probably Keth of the Nethri. He had psychic powers that could invade an opponent's mind. Some of his enemies had collapsed without him even touching them. Their brains simply could not handle the mental assault. How are our people supposed to fight these creatures? She wondered aloud. Her assistant was a young officer named Jung Woobin. He had been put in charge of monitoring the betting activity around the tournament. What he found was not encouraging for human chances. The odds against our fighters are terrible, he reported. Most aliens are betting that our people will lose in under 30 seconds. Some are betting they will surrender without fighting at all. What about Hana specifically? Nayoung asked. Wubin checked his datapad. The betting pools have her losing to Thorak in less than 10 seconds. Many aliens think she will be killed immediately when the match starts. In the alien sections, preparation was very different. The Gravani trained by lifting massive weights and punching through solid rock. Their training room sounded like a construction site with constant banging and crashing. The Valari practiced their speed and blade work. They moved through obstacle courses so fast they looked like silver blurs. Sparks flew as their arm blades cut through metal targets. The Nethri sat in meditation circles, focusing their mental powers. Occasionally, training equipment around them would suddenly explode or melt from the psychic energy they were generating. Every alien species had spent years preparing their champions. They had studied every aspect of combat and trained in the most advanced facilities their worlds could provide. Their fighters were the absolute peak of what their species could produce. The humans had been invited to the tournament only 3 months ago. They had barely enough time to select their team and travel to Nexus Prime. Most aliens considered their participation to be a courtesy gesture rather than serious competition. That evening there was a formal dinner for all the delegations. The Great Hall was filled with beings from across the galaxy. Each species sat at their own tables and spoke in their own languages. At the human table, the conversation was quiet and tense. Everyone knew they were being watched and judged by the other species. The weight of representing Earth in front of the galaxy felt enormous. Commander Kang tried to keep morale up. Remember that we are not just fighting for ourselves. We are showing the galaxy what humanity can do. Park Jinwoo nodded, but he looked nervous. The pressure is intense. Everyone expects us to fail. Let them underestimate us, said Yoon Mire. It might work to our advantage. Hana had been quiet through most of the dinner. She ate her food slowly and watched the alien tables with calm interest. When the others looked at the aliens, they saw monsters and warriors. When Hana looked at them, she saw something different, but she did not say what it was. After dinner, the tournament brackets were announced. A huge holographic display showed who would fight whom in the first round. The entire hall fell silent as the matchups appeared. Hana was placed against Thorak in the very first match of the tournament. The alien sections erupted in laughter and cheering. Many of them saw this as the perfect way to start the championship. The weakest-looking human against the most feared Gorvani warrior. It will be over before it begin, someone shouted. From the Gorvani table, the female will not even land a single hit, another alien called. But at the human table, the mood was grim. Even Commander Kang looked worried. Fighting Thorak first was the worst possible draw they could have received. Only Hana seemed unconcerned. She looked at the bracket display with the same calm expression she had worn all day. When is the match? She asked quietly. Tomorrow at noon, Kang replied. You will have the morning to prepare. Hana nodded and stood up from the table. Then I should get some sleep. She walked out of the great hall while thousands of alien eyes watched her go. Many of them were already planning victory celebrations for Thorak. None of them noticed the way Hana moved through the crowded room. She never bumped into anyone or had to push past obstacles. She seemed to flow around problems before they could block her path. It was like she could see things before they happened. But that was impossible for a normal human, wasn't it? The morning of the first match arrived with thousands of spectators filling every seat in the arena. Beings from across the galaxy had come to watch what they expected to be the shortest fight in tournament history. The betting pools had reached record numbers, with almost everyone placing money on Thorak to win in under 10 seconds. Oh Taehyung sat in the commentator booth high above the arena floor. He was a sports announcer who had covered combat events across the galaxy for 20 years. He had never seen such one-sided betting odds before. Ladies and gentlemen and beings of all species, his voice echoed through the stadium. We are about to witness the opening match of this year's Galactic Combat Championship. In the red corner we have Thorak of the Gorvani people. He stands 3 meters tall and weighs over 400 kilograms. He has never lost a fight and has defeated opponents from 17 different species. The crowd roared as Thorak entered the arena through a large doorway. His gray stone-like skin gleamed under the bright lights. Each of his steps made the metal floor shake. His massive fists looked like they could punch through the arena walls. Thorak raised his arms above his head and flexed his enormous muscles. The Gorvani section of the audience went wild with cheering. Other alien species joined in showing their respect for the champion. And in the blue corner, Taehyung continued, but his voice became less enthusiastic. We have Lee Hana representing the human species from Earth. She is 23 years old and this is her first galactic tournament. The reaction was very different when Hana walked into the arena. Some aliens laughed. Others shook their heads in disbelief. A few looked almost sorry for what was about to happen. Hana looked even smaller standing across from Thorak in the transparent fighting sphere. She wore simple gray workout clothes that made her appear even more ordinary. Her expression was calm and focused as she looked up at her massive opponent. In the medical section, Lim Soo-young prepared emergency equipment. She was the chief medical officer assigned to treat injured fighters. Her team had everything ready to help human casualties. How long do you think she will last? One of her assistants asked. I hope she surrenders quickly, Soo-young replied. Thorak could accidentally kill her with one punch. The two fighters moved to the center of the arena sphere. In zero gravity, they both floated freely, but Thorak used small jets on his armor to position himself. Hana simply pushed off gently from the arena wall and drifted into place. The referee was a neutral alien species with 4 arms and silver skin. He spoke the rules clearly so both fighters could understand. This match continues until one fighter cannot continue or surrenders. No weapons are allowed except natural body parts. No outside assistance is permitted. Do both fighters understand? Thorak nodded confidently. Hana simply said yes in a quiet voice that barely carried to the spectators. Begin, the referee called out and quickly moved away from the fighting area. Thorak immediately activated his positioning jets and launched himself directly at Hana. His massive fists were aimed at her head and chest. The speed of his attack was surprising for such a large creature. Most opponents would have been caught completely off guard, but Hana was not there when Thorak arrived. She had twisted her body in a way that seemed impossible. Thorak's fists passed through empty space while Hana somehow moved around his attack without using any jets or equipment. She used only tiny touches against his arms and shoulders to change her direction. The crowd fell silent. What they had just seen did not make sense according to the laws of physics they understood. Thorak spun around looking for his opponent. Hana was floating calmly a few meters away, exactly where she needed to be to avoid his next attack before he even made it. How did she do that? Someone in the alien section shouted. Thorak attacked again. This time he tried to grab Hana instead of punching her. His massive hands could easily wrap around her entire body. But again, she was not where he expected her to be. Hana seemed to flow around his grasping fingers like water. She touched his wrists lightly and used his own momentum to spin herself away from danger. Her movements looked almost like a dance performed in slow motion. But Thorak was not slow. He was one of the fastest heavy fighters in the galaxy. The fact that Hana was avoiding him so easily made no sense to anyone watching. This is impossible, Baseokjin said from the Gorvani viewing box. She has no jets. No anti-grav equipment. How is she moving like that? In the human section, Commander Kang was equally confused. He had watched Hana train for weeks, but he had never seen her move like this. Her training exercises had been gentle and slow. This was something completely different. Thorak was getting frustrated. He had expected to end this fight with his first punch. Now he had attacked several times and had not even touched his opponent. Worse than that, he was starting to look foolish in front of the entire galaxy. He decided to try a different approach. Instead of attacking directly, he would corner Hana against the arena wall where she could not escape. He used his jets to position himself between her and the open space of the arena, but Hana did not try to escape. Instead, she floated directly toward him. Thorak was surprised but pleased. Finally, his opponent was coming within reach. He drew back his enormous fist to deliver a crushing blow that would end the match immediately. The punch came forward with all of Thorak's strength behind it. It could have broken through a steel wall, but it did not hit Hana. At the last possible second, she moved in a way that seemed to defy every law of combat physics. She slipped under his punch and somehow ended up behind his extended arm. Her small hand touched a specific point on his elbow. Thorak's arm went completely numb. Before he could react, Hana touched another point on his shoulder. Then another spot on his neck. Each touch was gentle and precise, but the effect was immediate. Thorak's massive body began to shut down piece by piece. He tried to grab her with his other hand, but she was already moving. She touched pressure points and nerve centers that he did not even know existed. Within seconds, his entire left side was paralyzed. What is she doing to him? Oh, Taehyung asked in amazement from the commentator booth. The crowd watched in complete silence as the small human woman systematically disabled the most feared fighter in the galaxy. Thorak tried to use his remaining strength to crush her, but his body would not obey his commands. Hana's final move was almost gentle. She placed her palm against a spot on Thorak's chest and pressed lightly. The massive Gorvani warrior's eyes rolled back and he lost consciousness immediately. His body went completely limp and began to drift in the zero gravity. The fight was over. The arena was so quiet you could hear the air recycling systems. Thousands of beings from dozens of species stared in shock at what they had just witnessed. Hana floated calmly near the unconscious form of Thorak. She was not even breathing hard. Her expression remained peaceful and focused as if she had just finished a simple training exercise. The referee finally remembered his duties and moved to check on Thorak. The massive fighter was alive but completely unconscious. He would recover, but he had been defeated as thoroughly as any warrior in tournament history. Winner by knockout, the referee announced. Lee Hana of Earth. The silence continued for several more seconds. Then chaos erupted throughout the arena. Alien delegates leaped to their feet shouting accusations of cheating. Others demanded investigations and protests. The noise was deafening as thousands of voices tried to explain what could not be explained. In the middle of it all, Hana calmly exited the arena through the blue corner doorway. She walked past cameras and reporters without stopping to answer questions. Her expression never changed from the peaceful focus she had maintained throughout the entire fight. Behind, her medics rushed to help Thorak while officials tried to restore order to the tournament, but everyone knew that something fundamental had just changed. The humans were not what they appeared to be. The hours after Hana's victory were filled with chaos and confusion. Emergency meetings were called by every major alien delegation. Accusations flew through the corridors of Nexus Prime like wildfire. Everyone wanted to know how a weak human female had defeated the most powerful fighter in the galaxy. Shin Ji-won found herself at the center of the storm. She was the legal advocate assigned to defend human participation rights in the tournament. Her small office was surrounded by angry alien delegates demanding answers and investigations. The match was clearly rigged, declared Ambassador Krell of the Nethri delegation. His purple skin was darker than usual, which meant he was very angry. No natural being could move like that human did. We demand immediate testing, added General Voss from the Valari Military Command. The human must be using illegal technology or genetic modifications. Ji-won remained calm despite the pressure. All fighters agreed to the tournament rules before arriving. Those rules allow for complete testing of any participant. We welcome any investigation you wish to conduct. Her confidence surprised the alien delegates. Most species would have tried to avoid testing if they were cheating. The fact that humans were volunteering for examination made them even more suspicious. Within 2 hours, a complete testing facility had been set up in the medical bay. Han Yesol was the chief scientist assigned to examine Hana. She had equipment that could scan every cell in a living body and detect any artificial modifications. Hana submitted to the testing without complaint. She answered every question honestly and allowed every scan they requested. The process took 6 hours and covered every possible form of enhancement or cheating. The results were shocking in their completeness. Subject shows no signs of genetic modification, Yesol reported to the gathered officials. No cybernetic implants detected. No chemical enhancements in her system. No hidden technology of any kind. She continued reading from her data pad. Physical capabilities fall within normal human ranges. Muscle density is average. Bone strength is typical. Brain activity shows normal patterns for her species. The alien delegates looked at each other in confusion. If Hana was completely normal, then how had she defeated Thorak so easily? Test her again, demanded General Voss. Use different equipment. Check for things we might have missed. 3 more testing sessions were conducted over the next day. Each one came back with the same results. Hana was a completely ordinary human with no special abilities or enhancements. Meanwhile, the tournament continued with other matches. But all attention remained focused on the human fighters and especially on Hana. Her next opponent was announced as Zix, the Valari speedster. The aliens were certain that no human could match Valari speed, even if they had somehow cheated against Thorak. Kwon Min-seok was the intelligence officer investigating the alien allegations. He had been given access to all tournament footage and testing data. What he found made the situation even more confusing. "The humans are telling the truth," he reported to the tournament officials. "Every scan shows Lihana is baseline human with no modifications. But the combat footage is impossible to explain." He showed slow-motion video of Hana's fight against Thorak. Even at reduced speed, her movements looked unnatural. She seemed to know where Thorak would attack before he decided to attack. Her positioning was perfect in ways that suggested she could see into the future. "Perhaps she has psychic abilities like the Nethri," suggested one official. "We tested for that," Minsuk replied. "She shows no psychic activity at all. Her mind is completely normal." The alien species began developing conspiracy theories. Some believed the humans had secret military technology that could not be detected. Others thought Earth had been hiding their true capabilities for centuries. A few suggested that humans were not actually from Earth at all, but were refugees from some advanced warrior species. Of these theories made sense when examined closely, but the aliens needed some explanation for what they had witnessed. Hana's second match arrived 3 days later. The arena was even more crowded than before. Word had spread throughout the galaxy about the impossible human victory. Billions of beings across hundreds of worlds were watching to see if it could happen again. Zix was the fastest creature anyone had ever seen fight. His silver skin could barely be seen when he moved at full speed. His blade arms could slice through almost any material in the galaxy. He had won every match by cutting down opponents before they could even see him coming. "This time will be different," he told reporters before the match. "The human got lucky against a slow fighter. She cannot match Villari's speed." When the match began, Zix immediately became a silver blur moving around the arena. He was so fast that most spectators could not track him with their eyes. He appeared and disappeared like lightning as he circled around Hana looking for the perfect moment to strike. But something strange was happening. No matter how fast Zix moved or how unpredictably he changed direction, Hana was always facing him. She turned slowly and calmly, keeping him in sight as if his incredible speed meant nothing to her. "How is she tracking him?" Oh Taehyung asked in amazement from the commentator booth. "Even our cameras can barely follow his movement." Zix became frustrated and launched his attack. He came at Hana from 3 different angles in less than 1 second. His blade arms were aimed at vital points that would end the fight immediately. Hana moved like she was dancing in slow motion. She bent backward as one blade passed over her chest. She twisted sideways as another blade swept past her shoulder. The third attack she simply was not there for at all. Zix found himself stabbing empty air while Hana somehow ended up behind him. Before he could turn around, she touched a spot on his neck. The Villari warrior collapsed instantly and did not move again. The fight had lasted less than 30 seconds. This time the silence in the arena was even deeper. 2 matches. 2 impossible victories. The humans had now defeated the strongest and fastest fighters in known space using a small woman who tested as completely normal. The alien delegations went into emergency session immediately after the match. Formal protests were filed with the tournament committee. Some species threatened to withdraw from the competition entirely. "This makes a mockery of everything we believe about combat," declared Ambassador Thane of the Crystalline Collective. "Either the humans are cheating in ways we cannot detect, or our understanding of warfare is completely wrong." Commander Kang attended the emergency meeting to defend his team. He faced a room full of angry alien officials who wanted explanations he could not provide. "We have submitted to every test you requested," he said firmly. "Our fighter has been examined more thoroughly than any participant in tournament history. You have found nothing because there is nothing to find." "Then explain her abilities," demanded General Voss. Kang spread his hands helplessly. "I cannot explain them any better than you can. But they are natural human capabilities." The meeting continued for hours with no resolution. The aliens could not prove cheating, but they also could not accept that humans possessed such incredible fighting abilities naturally. In her quarters, Hana sat quietly reading a book about galactic history. She seemed completely unaffected by the chaos surrounding her victories. When Yoon Mirai visited to check on her, she found her friend as calm as ever. "Are you worried about all the accusations?" Mirai asked. "No," Hana replied simply. "Truth does not change because people refuse to believe it." "How are you doing this?" "Even I do not understand how you are winning these fights." Hana looked up from her book with a small smile. "I am just fighting the way humans fight. The aliens do not understand us yet." "What do you mean?" But Hana had already returned to her reading. She would not explain further no matter how much Mirai asked. Outside her window, the stars continued their ancient dance. Soon she would face the Nethri psychic warrior Keth. The aliens were certain that mental powers would be something no human could overcome. They were about to learn how wrong they could be. But first they needed to accept that everything they thought they knew about humanity was completely incorrect. The real education was just beginning. The alien species could not accept what they had witnessed. 2 impossible victories by a baseline human had shaken their understanding of combat itself. They decided to launch the most comprehensive investigation in galactic tournament history. If they could not find evidence of cheating, then they would study everything about humanity until they understood the truth. Ryu Jae-hyun was chosen to lead this investigation. He was considered the finest military strategist in the Gorvani Empire and had studied warfare across dozens of species. His task was to analyze every piece of human combat footage that existed and find the secret behind their abilities. "We need to understand how they fight," he told his research team. "There must be patterns or techniques that we have missed." Song Dai joined the investigation as the lead xenobiologist. She had spent her career studying how different species evolved their combat capabilities. Her job was to examine human biology and find what made them different from other fighters. "Every species develops fighting skills based on their environment," she explained to the team. "Humans must have some evolutionary advantage that we have not discovered yet." Nam Ji-hoon was the data analyst assigned to process all the information they gathered. His computer systems could analyze millions of hours of footage and find patterns that biological minds might miss. The investigation began by studying human military history. What they found surprised them immediately. Humans had been fighting wars continuously for thousands of years. While other species had occasional conflicts with external enemies, humans had been battling each other since the beginning of their recorded history. "This is unusual," Ryu noted as he reviewed the data. "Most species unite against outside threats. Humans seem to fight their own kind more than anyone else." "Look at this," Song added, pointing to biological scans. "Human stress responses are completely different from other species. When threatened, their reaction speed increases dramatically. Their pain tolerance goes up. Their awareness becomes sharper." Nam discovered something even more interesting in the combat footage analysis. Human fighting styles are incredibly diverse. They have developed hundreds of different martial arts and combat systems. Each one is designed to counter other human techniques. The research team began to realize they were looking at something unprecedented. Humans had not evolved to fight external enemies like most species. They had evolved to fight other humans who had exactly the same capabilities and intelligence. "This changes everything," Ryu said with growing understanding. "They have been training to fight opponents who think like they do and move like they do for thousands of years." Meanwhile, Hana prepared for her 3rd match against Keth of the Nethri. The psychic warrior was considered unbeatable because he could attack an opponent's mind directly. Most fighters collapsed before the physical combat even began. The alien investigation team decided to watch this match very carefully. If Hana could somehow defeat a psychic opponent, it would prove that humans possessed abilities beyond anything they had imagined. Keth entered the arena with complete confidence. His purple skin glowed with psychic energy that most species could feel as pressure in their minds. He had never lost a match because few beings could resist his mental attacks. "Your mind will break like glass," he told Hana as they faced each other in the arena sphere. Hana looked at him with the same calm expression she had shown in every fight. "You may try," she replied quietly. When the match began, Keth immediately launched a powerful psychic assault. His mental attack was strong enough to crush the minds of most galactic species. The spectators who were sensitive to psychic energy felt the wave of force he directed at Hana, but nothing happened to her. Hana stood calmly in the zero gravity, as if Keth had done nothing at all. Her expression did not change. She showed no signs of pain or mental stress. Keth was shocked. He increased his psychic power and attacked again with even more force. The energy he generated was so intense that some aliens in the audience had to leave their seats because of the mental pressure. Hana remained completely unaffected. Impossible, Keth gasped. No mind can resist that level of attack. Human minds are different, Hana said simply. Then she began to move toward him. Keth panicked and tried his most powerful psychic technique. He attempted to take direct control of Hana's body and make her attack herself. This ability had won him every previous match because opponents would be forced to defeat themselves. But Hana's body did not obey his psychic commands. She continued moving toward him with the same flowing grace she had shown in her other fights. In the research center, the investigation team watched with growing amazement. She is completely immune to psychic attack, Song reported in disbelief. Her brain patterns are not even changing under his assault. How is that possible? Ryu demanded. Nam was analyzing the data as it came in. Look at her neural activity. It is different from any species we have studied. Her mind processes information in ways that psychic attacks cannot affect. On the arena floor, Keth was becoming desperate. He had used all of his psychic abilities and none of them worked on the human. Now she was close enough to touch him and he had no idea how to fight physically. Hana reached out and placed her hand gently on Keth's forehead. The Nethri warrior's eyes went wide with surprise. Instead of attacking his mind, she was somehow calming it. Sleep, she said softly. Keth's psychic energy faded away like a candle being blown out. His body relaxed completely, and he drifted unconscious in the zero gravity. The match was over in less than 2 minutes. The arena was silent again, but this time the silence felt different. 3 impossible victories, 3 different types of fighters defeated by the same small human woman. Something was very wrong with everything the galaxy thought it knew about combat. In the research center, the investigation team worked frantically to understand what they had witnessed. She did not resist his psychic attacks, Song realized. They simply had no effect on her. Human minds must be structured completely differently from ours. And did you see how she ended the match? Ryu added. She used some kind of calming technique on him. That suggests humans understand psychology in ways we do not. Nam pulled up more data about human brain evolution. Look at this. Human brains developed while they were fighting other humans for millions of years. They had to become immune to psychological warfare because their enemies understood their minds perfectly. The pieces were starting to come together, but the full picture was still unclear. The investigation team realized they needed to study much more than just combat footage. They needed to understand human evolution itself. Get me everything, Ryu ordered. Every piece of information about human development, their history, their biology, their psychology. If we are going to understand how they fight, we need to understand how they became what they are. As the team worked through the night, Hana returned to her quarters. She had now defeated the 3 most feared types of fighters in the galaxy. Strength, speed, and psychic power had all failed against her abilities. The tournament semifinals were approaching, and only the most elite champions remained. But the alien species were no longer focused on winning. They were focused on understanding how everything they believed about warfare could be so completely wrong. Commander Kang found Hana in the observation lounge looking out at the stars. The aliens are scared, he told her. They do not understand what you are doing. They will understand soon, Hana replied. They are learning about us now. Learning about what it means to be human. What does it mean? Hana smiled as she watched the distant stars. It means we have been preparing for this our entire lives. We just did not know we were preparing for it. The investigation was about to uncover the truth that would change how every species in the galaxy viewed humanity forever. But that truth was more frightening than anything they had imagined. The tournament finals were approaching and only 2 fighters remained. Hana would face Vexthar, the current galactic champion. He was a Draconi warrior who combined the best traits of every fighting species. Stronger than the Gorvani, faster than the Valari, more intelligent than the Nethri. He had held the championship title for 8 years without losing a single match. But the aliens were no longer focused on who would win. The investigation into human capabilities had revealed discoveries that shook the foundation of everything they thought they knew about warfare and evolution. Ko Young-ho was the military historian who presented the first part of their findings to the Galactic Council. His research had uncovered the terrifying truth about human development that explained everything they had witnessed. Distinguished members of the council, he began addressing the assembled representatives from 47 worlds. We have completed our analysis of human combat evolution. What we discovered changes our understanding of this species completely. The great council chamber fell silent as beings from across the galaxy waited to hear the explanation for the impossible human victories. Humans are the only known species to have evolved in continuous warfare with their own kind, Ko continued. While other species developed cooperation to fight external threats, humans spent millions of years fighting each other. He activated a holographic display showing human evolutionary development. The images were shocking to the alien observers. Every other species we have studied evolved combat skills to fight different types of enemies. Humans evolved to fight opponents with identical capabilities, identical intelligence, and identical physical structure. John Subin stepped forward to present the psychological analysis. She was a combat psychologist who had spent weeks studying human mental development. This created evolutionary pressures that no other species has ever experienced, she explained. Humans had to develop combat instincts that could work against opponents who thought exactly like they did. She showed brain scans comparing human minds to other galactic species. The differences were dramatic and disturbing. Human combat psychology is fundamentally different from ours. They have what they call muscle memory, that allows their bodies to react faster than conscious thought. They possess situational awareness that lets them process multiple threats simultaneously. Most importantly, they have developed adaptive pattern recognition that allows them to predict opponent behavior in real time. The alien council members looked at each other with growing concern. These capabilities sounded almost supernatural compared to their own fighting abilities. Angeuno presented the final section of the report. He was a former human soldier who had been brought in to explain military training methods. Human warriors train differently from any other species, he told the council. They do not just learn to fight specific enemies. They learn to adapt to any possible fighting style because they never knew what kind of human opponent they would face next. He showed footage of human military exercises that made the aliens uncomfortable. The training was more intense and varied than anything they had ever seen. Humans call this combined arms warfare and asymmetric tactics. They developed these concepts because human enemies would always try to find new ways to gain advantages in battle. The full picture was becoming clear to the Galactic Council. Humans had not developed advanced technology or genetic modifications. They had developed something much more dangerous. They had evolved warfare itself. Ko returned to the podium for his final statement. Lee Hana is not exceptional among humans. She represents the average combat potential of her species. Every human possesses these capabilities because those who did not possess them did not survive to reproduce. The council chamber erupted in shocked voices as the implications became clear. If Hana was average, then what were humanity's actual warriors capable of? This is why she defeated our champion so easily, John added. Our fighters trained to fight specific types of opponents. Hana trained her entire life to fight opponents who could think and adapt exactly like she could. The revelations were interrupted by announcements that the championship match was about to begin. The council members rushed to the arena to watch what they now understood would be a meeting between the galaxy's greatest champion and a member of the most dangerous warrior species ever discovered. Vexthar entered the arena with his usual confidence, but something was different. The investigation reports had been shared with all the remaining fighters. He now knew he was not facing a weak human female. He was facing a representative of a species that had weaponized survival itself. Hana appeared as calm as always when she entered the arena. The crowd was larger than ever before. Word had spread across the galaxy about the investigation findings. Billions of beings were watching to see if the galaxy's understanding of warfare was about to change forever. This match will determine more than just a championship, Oh Tae-hyung announced from the commentator booth. It will show us whether everything we believed about combat was wrong. The two fighters faced each other in the center of the arena sphere. Vexthar was impressive with his scaled skin that could stop most weapons, and his forearms that could attack from multiple angles simultaneously. He had psychic abilities like the Nethri and speed that rivaled the Valari. But now everyone understood that Hana possessed something more dangerous than any single advantage. She had millions of years of evolutionary warfare experience encoded in her instincts. When the match began, Vexthar tried to use every advantage he possessed at once. He moved with incredible speed while launching psychic attacks and striking with all four arms in a coordinated assault that had never failed to overwhelm opponents. Hana responded with movements that seemed to flow like water around his attacks. But this time the observers understood what they were seeing. She was not using supernatural abilities. She was using pattern recognition systems that had been refined through countless generations of human warfare. Every move Vexthar made was something that some human in history had tried against another human. Hana's ancestors had faced every possible combination of speed, strength, and tactics. Her instincts knew how to counter attacks that had not even been invented yet. The match became a demonstration of adaptive warfare. Vexthar would develop a new attack pattern. Hana would immediately develop a counter technique. He would change his strategy. She would adapt faster than he could implement his changes. She is learning his fighting style faster than he can use it, Ko observed from the council viewing box. This is what humans do, An explained. They adapt in real time to any opponent because they evolved fighting enemies who were also adapting in real time. The match ended when Hana used a technique that combined elements from all her previous fights. She flowed around Vexthar's attacks like she had against Thorak. She moved with timing that countered his speed like she had against Zix. She remained calm under his psychic pressure like she had against Keth. But against Vexthar, she did something new. She began to predict his moves several steps ahead, and counterattacks he had not even decided to make yet. The Galactic Champion found himself fighting an opponent who seemed to know his strategy better than he did. Within minutes he was unconscious and drifting in the zero gravity. Hana had won the championship. But more importantly, she had proven that humanity represented a completely new type of warfare that the galaxy had never encountered before. As she exited the arena, the alien species finally understood the truth. They had not been watching tournaments. They had been watching humanity's introduction to galactic warfare. And they were terrified of what that might mean for the future.